Hello, World Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. Hey, December 24th and week 2 of the auction has just started. So I wanted to run through these tanks and talk about their playstyle and try to give a little input on what I think would be a good deal. So let's first, I've got the link pulled up here in the top left corner. na.wotblitz.com/en/auction will bring you to this page. You log in using your regular username and password. And of course, NA there is because I'm on the North American server. If you're EU, you would change that to EU or whatever server you are on. So let's take a look at these tanks. T26E3 Eagle 7. This is a tier 7 medium tank. Spent a lot of time last week talking about the pilot at tier 8. Just a good all-arounder tank. Doesn't do anything exceptionally well, but it's not really lacking in any category either. The starting price on this is 4,500 gold, dropping 5,000 per or 500 per day. I would think if you could get this around 3,000, 3,500, you'll enjoy the tank and not feel like you've overpaid for it. T55A. This is essentially the T54. Just has a little less armor, but mobility gun stats are basically exactly the same. However, you've got a 135% credit coefficient versus I think it's 29 on the T54. So if you like that playstyle at tier 9 medium tank, you know, this is a good tank. Granted, 10,000 gold is a lot for a tier 9 average tank. And I'm not saying this tank is OP in any way. So if you could wait 3 or 4 days, get this to drop to 7,000, 6,000, I think you're getting yourself a really good tank at a good price there. T2020, tier 8, Soviet heavy. You know my thoughts on this. I've done a review on it. Check it out if you want. The tank is just so much similar to so many other Soviet heavy tanks at tier 8 that you know, it's hard to separate them. However, here I've had some really good battles in the tank itself. I think they fixed for the most part a lot of the issues that it had when it first came out, and it got a really bad reputation. Now it's just more maybe on the average side. So as far as a tier 8 premium tank, you know, if you're paying less than 7,000 gold for it, you're actually getting a good deal. Now, keep in mind, this is under the assumption that you don't already have a lot of these tier 8 premium tanks in this nature. So if you wanted to wait 3 or 4 days, and if you could get this down to 55, 5,000, somewhere in that range, I think you're getting a nice tank for a really good price. Moving on, we've got the 047 here. This is a tier 8 medium tank. It's got good mobility. It's got a really good gun. It plays really well hold down because you'll see the turret is just so small. Some people do struggle in it a little bit. It's certainly not overpowered in any way. There's only a couple tanks here that I would put in that category. But, you know, you're already starting out at a good price for a tier 8 medium premium tank. And so I think, you know, again, keep an eye on the number of units sold. If you can get this for 5,000, you're not going to be upset at that price. Predator Ultra Marines. We've got Vindicator as well to come. Tier 7. It's just a difficult tank to play. They did increase the gun depression on it. The tank sits so super high that anytime anyone gets anywhere close to you, you don't even have the gun depression to shoot them. The armor was improved a little bit. It lacks mobility. It's just not a great tank. Those of you that are not, just active collectors of tanks, I would just avoid this tank and not consider it. And for those of you that are collectors, if you could get this for 35, 4,000, that is probably the price point that I would pay for it. The iconic IS-3 Defender. Yeah, this tank has been in store a lot lately, so 7,500 is not a good price. Tank was a little bit OP when it first came out, but it's been power crept. It's not as good as it once was. 5,500 would be a good price, I would say, for this tank. And again, this goes into that realm of how many Pike Nose Tier 8 heavy tanks do you need in your garage, right? Yeah, it is a 3-shot auto loader, but the time between shots is pretty high, and I would rather have an IS-3, to be honest with you. So unless you're an avid collector, yeah, I'd probably stay away from it. Now, let's get into the one tank I would recommend. If you missed out on getting this tank for free with the Progetto and the Action X, I believe it was, offer for watching the tournament streams, the Centurion Mark V-1 is a super fun tank. Downside: low damage per minute, high rate of fire, so you have to be on target in order to get damage in. But an amazing, almost as strong as the Action X heavy tank turret. Get this thing hull down, and it is a beast. It's got great mobility, which is an improvement to me over the Action X. But we are sitting at a relatively high price. The tank has not been for sale that often, which is why you're seeing the 8,500. So I would expect this one and the Scorpion to sell out probably the fastest. So 7,500 is your standard price there for a Tier 8 medium. So anything below that, I think you're going to feel like you got a good deal. So let's move on to the Vindicator. This tank, big old derp gun. I think it's only got like 3 degrees of gun depression, which makes it extremely difficult to play. But it's fun when those big old shots hit at Tier 7. But quite honestly, SU-152 is just as fun. So it's got lack of mobility. It's just a difficult tank. And again, unless you're a collector, I would stay away from this. A good price would be 3,500, 4,000, I think. Moving on, the Scorpion. Yes, look at the price on this sucker, 11,000 gold. However, it is super fun. Obviously, no armor, great accuracy, decent speed, and a rotational turret, which is great on a German accuracy gun. Dropping 1,000 each time, I would keep an eye on this, but if you could get it for 7,000, that's quite a steal, I would think. And I expect this probably to be one that sells up the fastest. AMX Defender, interesting to see this, 8,500 gold, dropping 500 each time. I love this tank, 4-shot auto loader, but however, it is a light tank. It's difficult to play. You've got to be on the move all the time, which means you have to have really good map awareness in order to play it well. 6,500 would be a great price if you ask me. 7,000, is probably where you should be buying it. But I don't know if it's going to hold out that long, so we'll keep an eye on it. The Badger at Tier 10, Tank Destroyer. Quite an interesting tank. It does have a little bit better mobility than you would expect for being kind of like in the AT British tank line. Certainly has the very troll armor. If you can just hide that lower plate, the thing bounces a lot of shots. But again, lack of mobility makes it kind of team/map dependent. So it's not a tank you can obviously carry in. And for 15,000 gold, that is a premium Tier 10 price. It's dropping 1,000 a day. Look at that. We've almost had 300 sold here within the first hour or so. So I might be surprised and see this one go fairly soon too. So maybe if you could get it for 12,000, 13,000, which would be 3 days, 2 days of drop price, 3 days for 12. You know, you might not be too upset with that price. If you could get it for 10,000, that would be a good deal, I think. Chimera, we know this British medium tank with its hard-hitting gun. Still, look at this, 10,000 gold, only dropping 500 each day. Almost 500 sold. Shows you kind of, you know, how sought after this tank is. I would think if you could get it for 8,000 gold would be a good price. Remember, this doesn't have camo, equipment slots, anything unlocked. You're going to have to do all of that after you buy the tank. And then lastly, we've got the Tier 10 T95 E6, which is a subpar Tier 10, if you ask me. And I'm surprised that this many have sold already. I wouldn't pay more than 10,000 for it if I were you guys. I think you're going to be disappointed if you do. But I don't know. It might not last that long. It's dropping at 1,000 a day, so maybe you can get it for 9,500. Still a lot, I think. But anyway, I'm a little disappointed. No tanks here that I want. I already have all of these. So I guess that's life. Was hoping to pick up a new tank this week, but not to be. So anyway, guys, hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and of course, stay safe out there. Get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.